Hawu sanibonani babukeli siyanamukela kuzo zonke indawo lapho nibheke khona uhlelo yilungelo lakho, it's your right. Siyabonga ukuthi nisijoyine namhlanje. Sithemba ukuthi phela ngiyayithanda i-fresh new look yohlelo lethu namhlanje. Igama lami ke mina ngingu-Alisha intombi yakatshali. Uyazi ke mbukeli ngokuhamba kohlelo sizokuvulela phela nawe ithuba ukuthi ukwazi ukubamba iqhaza ngokuthi ube kumbono noma ubuze umbuzo odabeni esobe silidingida ohlelweni namhlanje. Uyazi ke ungasithinta ngocingo ku-011 714 6918 noma ku-011 714 6919. Ungasithumela futhi ne-email mbukeli ku-consumer@sabc.co.za or catch us on Facebook or usilandele ku-Twitter under igama Yilungelo as well as @Yilungelo. Now it's another week of hardship for commuters as the bus driver strike enters its third week. Scores of consumers have been left scrambling for limited alternative transport to commute to work and back. Sadly, the already struggling commuters are now forced to dig deeper into their pockets for money they did not budget for to get alternative means of travelling. Just like in previous years, the blow on commuters is likely to leave them many without a legal recourse for their loss. Before discussing this issue any further, let's take a look at this background insert.
Kuya ngokucaca ukuthi isiteleka samabhasi esikhungethizwe asikazoxazululeka. Kulamaviki amathathu adlule, abagibeli abaningi bamabhasi bagcwale amarenki neziteshi zezitimela beyofuna izinto zokuhamba. Kuna nemibiko ethi abanye abagibeli baphoqeleka ukuthi babhadale u10 ukuthi bathole indawo kulayini ukuze bakwazi ukufika emsebenzini nasemakhaya ngesikhathi. Kuyima besazokhokha imali yokugibela. Namhlanje kulindeleke amalunga ayinkulungwane eSouthern Transport Omnibus Workers Union ukuthi bayobhikisha ngenxa yezingxoxo zamaholo ezingenanqubekela phambili. Abashayeli bamabhasi bese bezibuyekezile izimfuno behla ku-18% baya ku-13%. Ngokunjalo nabaqashi banyukile ku-6% baya ku-9%. Phezu kwalokhu, labashayeli bamabhasi bafuna ibhekisiswe indaba yama-housing allowance abo, ukusebenza ebusuku kanye nokushayela amabanga amade. Izinyinyana zona zithi zizimisele ukusombulula lesiteleka. Inkinga nje abaqashi abaqinise amakhanda.
Sihluphekiswa ngongxowankulu abagrade abafuna ukuthi wonke umnotho ungene kibo. Thina ke sithi abantu asibasupporteni labantu balwele lamalungelo wabo. Nathi siwajoyine lama marches and demand ukuthi labo ngxowankulu ababhadala abantu kahle ukuthi baphile.
Inhlangano emele abaqashi Commuters Bus Employers Association ithi lesiteleka siyawulimaza umnotho wakuleli. Abezinhlangano zamatekisi bona bayazuza kakhulu uma kuna lezi iteleka.
We saw it when the strike was announced that there is a vacuum, there will be a vacuum. People will need transport, and as Santaco we must improvise. Hence we told our structures that listen, you are going to be embedded with a lot of passengers for the next few weeks.
Abagibeli bona bayabulaleka ngenxa yalezi iteleka.
Asikwazi nothini iQzinde ibhasi ke ukho lengqaki khona. So kuyanyanzeleka simeke eziquini silinde ibhasi, silinde itaxi.
Siyasokola sibaninzi sidiniwe kuma kulesamente simesamenteni emsebenzini sizomesamenteni nalapha eCrossroad hayini bethu ngane qhameni icebo zamana icebo bethuna
itaxi azikwazi usikhwelisa sonke exesha le1 so every bus xa singahambi sifika late emsebenzini.
Unyaka nonyaka abathengi babhekana nezimo ezinzima bazithola besenkingeni ngokomnotho kungekho abangakhala kuye ngezinkinga zabo. Kwesinye isikhathi abantu bagcina belahlekelwa imisebenzi ngenxa yokungafiki ngesikhathi emsebenzini. Jobe Sithole, Yilungelo Lakho.
Sibonge kakhulu kuJobe ngaloyo mbiko. And now to take our discussion further, ake samukele ke isivakashi sethu la e-studio ubaba uSteven Sangweni, yena ungumongameli wenhlangano yabakhweli bezithuthi zomphakathi, iSouth African Commuters Organization. We hope to be joined later by Mr. Vincent Masoga, yena okhulumela umbutho wabasebenzi iSouth African Transport and Allied Workers Union. Phecelezi iSathawi, and on the line we will be joined by Mr. Klaus Hamers, yena okhulumela abanikazi bamabhasi iSouth African Bus Employers Association. Now Mr. Steven, siyakwamukela kwilungelo lakho, siyacela nje ukuthi ukuzintroduce ukuze nababukele ekhaya bakwazi kahle ukuthi uvela kuphi, usebenza ngani.
Oh cha, igama nje ubusushila uSteven Sangweni, kodwa abancane kufuneka bathi baba.
Yebo bathi baba uSteven.
Ngibuya kwinhlangano yabagibeli eSouth Africa, iSouth African Commuters Organization.
Yebo baba.
Yaqala ngo1989 kuze kube manje.
Okay.
Yaba involved eyintweni eziningi, iparticipate ku white paper transport in South Africa.
Okay.
During the time Mr. Mike Maharaj.
Oh, okay.
All those people saying ukuthi ke eziningi input efakile.
Inhlangano endala kahle yebo baba. Okay manje baba, ake sikhulume ngale strike. I-strike sesingena evikini lesithathu manje, abantu bayahlupheka. Nifila kanjani nina ngalesi strike?
Yabona nkosazana engakusho kakhulu siphethe yabhlungu. Kulesikhathi samanje imisebenzi ingekho iphela futhi imisebenzi.
Yeah.
Imajority yabagibeli abantu bakithi abanye basebenza ama temporal 3 months temporal and so forth, ama contract amafishane. I-punctuality emsebenzini wabo ayisekho
ngempela.
But ke angubeke lokho ukuthi ke kubangwa yini lokho.
Yebo baba, siqhubeka.
Angeke sithi sizoblame abashayeli kuphela. Abaqhashi ibona okufuza ukuthi balungise izinto zabo, basatisfied abaqhashi babo.
Yebo.
Uma bengakwenza phela lento yasixaka thina ulwazi lwethu ukuthi amabhasi a-contract ku government.
Yebo.
Athola isubsidy ku government.
Yebo.
Nabagibeli nabo bayabhadala, ugovernment uyabhadala, nabagibeli bayabhadala kuma providers.
Yebo.
So kuyasidida thina ukuthi inkingi ikuphi yabo ukuthi babhadala banikeza abasebenzi babo, bayavuka ekseni senza ama long hours. Uthola ubheke ama peak hour la sekuseni nantambama bafika late emzini yabo bo drive. So kuyasixaka lokho, kodwa iyonke lento iphelele. Mina ngibona ukuthi uhulumende noma uMinister of Transport uye ofuza ukuthi address lento, uhlalwe phansi ukukhulunywa bizwe onke ama stakeholders. Yonke i-public transport esithi sinayo if isubsidizwe ibe equal, ngoba kuba ama taxi abe subsidizwa nawo bebezo reforma nabo barun as business. But because they are not being subsidized, yikho ubona be frustrated kanjani bama taxi abazona ilwane. They are not animals.
Ukuthi akunaso i-structure esibekiwe ukuthi kusebenzeke kahle.
I-structure senziwa.
Abasilandeli.
But now ugovernment ongakhiphi isubsidy. Isubsidy itholakala emabhasini, itholakala kuma trains kuphela.
Yebo.
Yabo. So ke lento esaseyikhuza kuhulumende ukuthi mayivula loludaba lwe-Gautrain.
Yebo.
Ukuthi why evula istimela esinjengalesi la eSouth Africa kanti sina ama problems amaningi public transport. Lama train lana esinawo afuna ukulungiswa ane technology ka1956. Ama signal ama train ane technology ka1960. Engabe kulungiswa lento kuthatha imali yofaka eGautrain. Istimela esigitshelwa abantu abangayidivert abanezimoto bangahamba bakhululeke kahle bafike la befuna ukuya khona. What about that old woman or that woman onabantwana abawu4 eyosebenza temporary job yakhe 3 months?
Yebo.
Alahlekelwe umsebenzi. How many people abasafarayo? Lilonke ke ngakusho ukuthi I also appeal kuSathawu, because isathawu before ibisithinta sibonisane. I appeal kuSathawu ukuthi njengenkokheli abakhulumisane nabalandeli babo, ama members abo. Nawo ama members abo are affected, I know.
Ake sikhulume ngaloko baba. Abagibeli ake sikhulume ukuthi ba affecteke kanjani ngoba phela uyaphela manje inyanga isizophela kahle kahle 3 weeks inyanga isiphelile. Labantu bagibelani baya ngane emsebenzini ngoba phela i-strike asipheli.
Uyabona abagibeli basebekhalela khona emateksini nasemabhasini. Kugcwele. Ama-train nje kugcwele nakhona. They cannot afford ukuthutha bonke laba bantu. So nasemateksini nje ubona abanika amateksi laphana nawo awanayo icapacity yokuthutha abagibeli. Uyibhekeke leyo nto leyo. Yilento engithi mina personally noma engixwayisa ngayo. Ngixwayisa kakhulu ngoba ugovernment ufuneke thina njengabagibeli sikhulume naye. Ugovernment ezwe thina ukuthi sethini hayi alalele ama service providers. So lento isisa kwenye indawo iwash leya tricker is tricking. Ngoba abagibeli bazogcina befikelwa intukuthelo ngisho ukuthi ngiyasabisa befikela intukuthelo ukuthi enough it's enough now. Bheke stenga ukuthi kwenzakalani bheke stenga ukuthi ama commuters enzani. Elwa nabo labo bama taxi futhi. Indawo eningi there is no access to public transport. Abantu ba travel more than ngakutshana nje khona la eGoli. Indawo ezingale ko Orange Farm beya e station ba travel more than 3 kilometers to the station ngoba benzani ba budget.
All right, okay. All right, we're going to take Mr. Close Hermes on the line. Sir, good afternoon. Siyabonga YilungeloLakho. Mr. Hermes. Welcome, sir. Good afternoon. Okay, we seem to have lost Mr. Hermes on the line. We'll get back to him. Now, Mr. Stephen, besikhuluma ngokuthi abagibeli kahle kahle. Ngiyakuzwa ukuthi ama company ya strike nani. Nibekwe kuphi thina abagibeli bamabhasi? Kwenziwa ngani ngoba siyazi ukuthi kumele kuthengwe bathenga itag eviki noma enyanga. Lo mali bazoyirefund kuzokwenziwa njani?
Lokho thina silindele ukuthi ama companies lawo abagibeli abatravel ngawo ama-ticket bawagcine. And those companies, they must refund ama commuters. If aba refund imali zabo ukusho ukuthi khona enye indlela ufuneka singene ngayo. So nina njengenhlangano baba niyakwazi ukuthi nikhulume nabo ukuthi bahambe bayolokhuza bayocela ama refunds mhlambe kuma manufacturers kuma bus companies. Okay. Nangu Mr. Hermes on the line. Mr. Hermes, thank you for joining us today. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. All right, we seem to be really... Good afternoon, Mr. Hermes. All right, we do seem to be struggling with that line. We'll sort it out shortly. Babu Stephen, asiqhubeke ngodaba lethu basizeka kanjani ngiyakuzwa ukuthi bazothola ama refunds labantu, but how guaranteed is that? Khona la bengaya khona mhlambe la bethenga khona ama tags bafike babuyisele ngoba I'm sure iphakathi kwenyanga manje 3 weeks uphelile labantu bathengela inyanga ube budget for the low nyanga kuphela. Umsiza kanjani umuntu osonjalo? Okokuqala nje umgibeli lo be budgetile wathenga ithikithi lenyanga. Uselahlekelwe ngoba abenganayo imali ukuthi ayogibela ama-taxi ukubhadala ucash. Yebo kungani bebhadala ucash ngoba i-taxi industry ugovernment akayisubsidizile. Yathola ukube isubsidizile and elalela masimtshela ukuthi kufuneka kube na one payment system ku public transport. Sinayo le technology sabanikeza sabatshengisa ukuthi i-commuter might be able ukuthi isebenzise ikhadi eli-1 eli-reload wayo akwazi umgibeli ukugibela ibhasi itaxi nestimela. So lezo zinto lezo asazi ukuthi zibekwe kuphi la ibekwe khona. Yilento engisho ukuthi namanje nje I'm expecting that ukuthi uminister lo khona manje sizohlangana naye sizokhuluma ngazo zonke lezi zinto uBen Martin. Sizokhuluma ngazo zonke lezi zinto sizi-address.
All right, Image Babu Stephen Stella. Mr. Hermes, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Good afternoon. Mr.
Good
Holmes.
afternoon, Alicia.
Hi, so how are you doing? Thank you so much. Yes, we can hear you. Welcome to YilungeloLakho, and thank you so much for your time. Now, Mr. Holmes, I want to talk about the ongoing problems. We're in the third week of the strike. There's no near end of the strike. What is the problem? Why can't people seem to agree on a wage?
SABC has got a particular double-digit increase strategy that I think it's born of Kusatu Union. A number of industries have had similar demands, and in the bus industry it's simply unaffordable to go to double-digit increases.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And now, is there any with the current wage negotiations with the current wage negotiation? Sorry, is there any conclusion that you'll be arriving at very soon? Because we see that commuters are up in arms. Because I mean, it's already the third week.
Alicia, unfortunately, I do not see a resolution to the issue very shortly. SABC has basically, in terms of my understanding, rejected the latest initiative in terms of reaching a settlement, and they want to have double digits, and employers are not in a position to give that. And we have now had several interventions from CCMA and our bargaining council in order to reach agreement, and you know, we sincerely regret the inconvenience that the commuters are suffering. It is really unacceptable to us that commuters should be suffering the way that they are. At the same time, employers are losing earnings, and also at the same time, workers are losing income, and the extent to which they've lost income to this point.
Yes. That's
now
the
makes
problem.
it a situation in terms of which they're going to be earning less income this year, even if they get a good increase as compared to the previous year.
But now, Mr. Hamas, what seems to be the what is the non-agreement between the unions and the companies and the drivers actually? What seems to be the actual grievances that they just can't seem to agree on?
The basic wage increase is one issue. Then there are additional demands relating to industry medical aids, housing subsidies, things that have never, that the industry has never been able to implement or to afford. So they want a very big increase this year. And the parties are at loggerheads because of that. The companies, in terms of affordability, are sitting in a situation where they cannot charge commuters more money, not the kinds of increases that the workers are demanding. Also, the other sources of income, such as subsidy, which we are also reminded of from time to time by Labour, those increases are sitting in the region of 5%. You add to that the fuel price escalations, commuters know about those, then things become very, very difficult.
All right, and then Mr. Klaus, what has the bus companies resolved to do for commuters? Because we really, we're seeing a lot of people that are not managing with I mean, transport taxis are much more expensive, especially if you've budgeted for that month, if you've bought a tag for a month or a weekly tag. Is there anything that's, are they going to be refunded? How is that going to be made to happen?
The bus industry does not have a uniform policy in terms of how it deals with refunds on multi-journey tickets. The situation is that I would advise commuters to approach the operator in the area if they've got multi-journey tickets and request a refund. Some operators are giving refunds, while other operators give discounts on tickets going into the future.
All right. Now, Mr. Amos, we know that it's strike season, as many people would like to say. What's going to happen next year then when the buses go into striking again? Are we going to see the same thing happening to commuters? Are they going to be stranded once more with having to fend for other means of transport when this happens next year?
The last bus industry strike was in 1999. That's a good number of years ago. We certainly would like to see a situation where we would go at least another decade without industrial action the way that we are seeing it today.
All right.
Yes.
All right. And in the meantime, is there anything being done for all right, we'll continue with that conversation after the break. Okwamanje ake sithi shi eyitolo, but before siya kukhefu Mbukeli, let me remind you, ungabamba phela iqhaza nawe ngokuthi usifonele la e-studio ku 011 714 6918 noma ku 714 6919. Ungasithumela ne-email ku consumer@sabc.co.za noma usithumele igama elithi right bese ulandelisa nge-SMS yakho ku 33726. You can also catch us on Facebook under igama Yilungelo, as well as follow us on Twitter @Yilungelo. Siyabuya khona manje ungathi vu. Sinamukele futhi babukeli usabheke uhlelo Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. Kanti futhi Mbukeli siza kwena bukhoma la kunqa phambili SABC 1 umzansi for sure. Uyazi Mbukeli ukuthi ubeke umbono noma ubuza umbuzo ungasithinta ngocingo ku 714 6918 noma 714 6919. Ungashayela futhi ungasithumela i-email ku consumer@sabc.co.za. Usithumele i-SMS uqale ngegama elithi right bese usenda umbuzo wakho noma umbono ku 33726 or usinte ku Facebook na ku Twitter. Now, Mr. Hermes, let's talk about what transpired in today's meeting. We know there was a meeting being held today. What were the results that came out of that meeting? Is there anything that commuters can look forward to?
Alicia, today there was not a meeting. Today was the end point in a process in terms of which employers and labour unions had to indicate to the General Secretary of the Crown Council whether it was possible to settle between 9%, which the employers had offered, and 10%, which the unions are demanding.
Yes.
And some of the parties reported back to the General Secretary of the Council that there was no flexibility, and accordingly the strike then continues on a demand of 10%, if that is where the unions are still at, and 9% offered by the employers. So at this point, there isn't anything in the immediate future that commuters could be looking forward to.
So then, Mr. Hermes, what's going to happen to the commuters? Do they still have to go now and reclaim their tags and get back onto the... We now know roads are flooded with more cars because there's just not enough transport.
Yeah, I don't know. The have been commuting in the last 3 weeks. They'll have to continue following the same process until the issue is resolved, unfortunately.
All right. And is there anything you can advise commuters? If you were a commuter, what would the best thing to do be now?
I think the best thing to do will be to wait it out.
Do we have any, is there any dates in sight?
And sign an agreement. And, you know, we would appeal to commuters to support public transport once again when we do become operational, because it becomes increasingly difficult if we lose passengers at the same time.
Yes, and now what about the bus drivers that are going to be losing out work? What's going to happen to them when they get back to work? Because we know there's loss of jobs, and you know everything is happening. People are losing work. People are losing money. Where is it going to be a ratio that everybody can meet at?
Alicia, the workers have lost a hell of a lot of money. Striking is not a disciplinary issue. So in terms of coming back to work, they return to work as normal. Bus companies, however, have to look at the profitability of their services. And I'm certain that some jobs are going to be lost, unfortunately.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Himes, on the line now. We've got Sipho on the line. Sipho, siyamukela YilungeloLakho.
Thank you, Alicia. Bye-bye. Kunjani?
Siyakwamukela bhuti njani? Sipho, siyakwamukela kwilungelo lakho? All right, we're going to move on. Now, Mr. Stephen, ubufuna ukukhuluma ngale 10% Mr. Himes akhuluma ngayo. Ungathanda ukuthi qaba ngaphambi kokuthi sithathe ikhefu?
Impela mina I plead with the bus companies at least to put 1% on top of the 9% that they've offered. And then we as commuter representatives will go and ask an urgent meeting with the minister to look at whether there is no possibility of increasing subsidy. So that's the only way. Bus companies, they should also compromise to go a little bit better, to make it 10% instead of 9%.
Okay, so nabo kumele banivumele ukuthi nani nibeke ngoba phela bangeniva nifuna imali ngazi ukuthi yapi iyadingeka. Okay, ayimbukela ungayindawo sisathi nje shuya etolo, please stay with us ungayindawo. Sikwamukele futhi mbukeli usabuka uhlelo Yilungelo Lakho, it's your right. Sizakubona bukhoma laku SABC 1 eMzansi for sure. Mbukeli sikhuluma ngamalungelo abakhweli bamabhasi nabashayeke kakhulu i-strikes abashayeli bamabhasi. Now already struggling commuters have to dig deeper into their pockets for alternative forms of transport. Many had already spent on bus tags. What is the recourse of consumers in this case? For ukuthi usibekele umbono noma umbuzo, please sicela usithinte e-studio mbukeli. Now Babu Sangweni asikhulume uyasho uBabu Himes lo wema-bus companies ukuthi mhlambe kungakhulumeka mekuthiwa u10%. Nina nime kuphi lapho ukuthi kuqhubekele phambili nezingxoxo?
Impela la esisho khona okwethu kwamanje siyacela, we are pleading to both parties, umqhashi nomsebenzi.
Babu Sangweni, we've got Mr. Smith on the line. Mr. Smith, good afternoon and welcome to YilungeloLakho.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, sir. Please go ahead with your question or your comment.
Yes, because enough is enough. Because we commuters are now when we must vote. Now there's no care for us. Enough is enough. Let the bus industry give the lorry drivers that 1%. Enough, it's enough, man.
Thank you so much. Babu Sangweni, bakhala ngempela abagibeli. 3 weeks is a very long time. Njoba esho nje ethi enough is enough. Are you guys willing to compromise kulo 10% oshiwo ama-bus drivers companies?
Yabona engakusho nkosazana ukuthi njoba ngishilo ukuthi thina siqhamuka ukuthi sihlanganisa labantu abaxabanayo abangasafuni ukukhuluma.
Nina niququzelela inyunyana ukuthi
asihlale etafuleni zimukele lokho khona both inyunyana nabaqhashi kufuneke ba reach i-consensus. Uma uwenze le nto akusho ukuthi uyisiphukuphuka awunawo amandla. Mina bengingasho ukuthi ngicela mina ama-bus companies kulo 9% abawufakile abafaki u1% kube yi10%. Bese ngicela ke usathawo ukuthi aka compromise naye ukuthi awumukele u10% bazokwazi ukubuyela emsebenzini. Bese sinaye ke usathawo sisuke susakho nabo siye ku minister siyo discussa siyofuna isubsidy. Ngoba ngokomthetho umuntu ofuneka afuna isubsidy umgibeli. Ithini ofuna sifuna isubsidy ku government.
Yebo. Okay, Sipho from Eastern Cape. Sipho siyakwamukela kwilungelo lakho.
Sipho from Eastern Cape.
Sipho.
Yilungelo kunjani?
Sipho sicela wehlisa TV yakho sithando sami.
Siyaphila mama.
Siyaphila sisicela wehlisa TV yakho kancane nje khona soxhumana kahle. Sipho.
Hello mama.
Sipho? Okay, sesimluzile. Okay, we're going to go on. Babu Sangweni besakhuluma ukuthi kahle ilungelo ke lomgibeli yini abantu abangayenza abagibeli ke ukuthi babe yibumba bahambe bayokuhlangana nalezi inyunyane kuhlalwe phansi ikhulunywe ngoba kahle inyunyane zidingida indaba zodwa nabanikazi bamabhasi abagibeli abacatshangwa.
I-culture leyo esiphuma kuyo nesingakaphumeleli ukuthi siphume totally ukuthi umgibeli uyini umuqalwa uqhashwa ukuthi uzoba i-bus driver uzokwenzani endaweni enjani ubani oza phambili between i-company nomgibeli lento esihlale sisho njalo njengoba ngilongiphinda phinda ukuthi thina funeke silwe nohulumende no-government uMinister of Transport ngokuthi why uye obanikeza ama-contract labantu and angasithinti thina ukuthi sizowa approve
suke ningekho ngempela
asibizwa akungitshela nje surprise engangayibona engayizwayo kulonchwa lapha i-road safety u-deputy minister
abazange banitshela
ethi bengasazi ubethi iSantaco ne-NTA irepresenta nama-commuters wakwayizwa
hayi cha ngeke
so ke into engifuna ukuyisho ukuthi i-responsibility yalento eyenzakala umuntu ofuneka athwala i-responsibility uminister afoste lama-bus company ngoba uyawanika i-subsidy what about abantu bama-taxi bona abangatholi i-subsidy namanje angisho ukuthi ngiyababonga abantu bama-taxi ngokuthi basize la bekhona ukusiza khona ukuthutha abagibeli so ke ayikho indlela ukuthi singasuka ke bese sithi sesakha thina impi yokuthi siyolwa nama union isathawu noma no driver asikwazi ukwenza lokho ngoba lokho kungasho ukuthi thina sesiqhatha isizwe sixabanisa imndeni kodwa ke engikushoyo ukuthi isathawu kumele ukuthi sihlangane nayo kuphoqelekile lokho and njoba ngicela ukuthi i-bus companies ayifaki 1% kube 10% nesathawu imukele le 10% bese sihamba siya ku-minister u-government siyobheka ukuthi ubanika malini i-subsidy lama-bus companies uma ngabe incane uminister i-responsibility yakhe to ensure ukuthi ufaka more subsidy ku-public transport and kudala sakusho lokuthi government must spend more money on public transport than private transport akalaleli ukwenza leyo nto leyo you go to London, you go to America ubone ukuthi abantu bahamba kamnandi kanjani banama alternative transport uyakhetha ukuthi ufuna ukugibela ini awufuna ukuhamba ngani
yebo baba asibambe lapho siyabuya manje sizathi shwi etolo mbukela ungathi vu siyabuya Mbukeli isiphinde sikwamukele futhi nisabukele lona uhlelo Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. We're still discussing the ongoing strike, its impact on the lives of consumers as well as the rights of consumers. Many who have already spent on monthly or weekly bus tags, and these consumers have yet to have any remedy. Each time the bus drivers took down their tools. Ukuzwakalisa imbono yenu Mbukeli uyazi ukuthi ungashayela ucingo ku7146918 noma u7146919. Ungasithumela ne-SMS noma usilandele ku Facebook or on Twitter. Now baba asiqede manje ngicela ukwazi ukuthi i-way forward ithini abagibeli nizokwenza njani njengabagibeli ngeza ukuthi ama-tags niyakhona ukuthi niyothola i-refund but ukuya emsebenzini kuzosetshenziswa kanjani up until kutholakala i-solution kulesi strike
impela engizokusho nje kafushane ukuthi ngicela usathawu sithintane ngokusheshsha bese ngicela abagibeli ukuthi babekezele for now imali le abathenga amathikithi babuyele baye emadepo lamabus company abahamba ngawo bafuna i-refund ngiyathemba ngizokhuluma ne-taxi industry as well ukuthi bazame uku-improve i-service
and then baba abagibeli yini abangayenza kwamanje siyazi ukuthi ama-leaf clubs izinto esizijwayele kuma-suburbs but ekasi mhlawumbe akuzona izinto ey'fanayo ngoba uzokushaya umuntu odrivayo usuthwele abantu lapha emotweni
impela ama-leaf clubs atshengisile before ukuthi azange abe i-solution
akakusebenzeki
ngoba phela nabafowethu ku-taxi industry banikezwe ama roads
Yebo.
bafuna ibusiness nabo
Yebo.
manje kuba inkinga angeke ke si encourage indaba ema lift clubs.
Kungenziwani ke baba?
Into ekhona nje ukuthi sihlale nalobhlungu kodwa sigijime isathawu sicela ukuthi sigijime nawo ama bus companies sithinte umminister sizokhuluma ngalolu daba usolve le problem njengoba ngishilo ukuthi ngicela isathawu imukele i1%. Ama bus companies awafake i1% kube i10% okungenani.
Ningasebenza ngalokho.
Ngalokho kungasebenzeka.
Okay.
Baba uzobuye baxoxe ke ngokusele isikhathi masilolesama.
Isikhathi mesihamba.
Yeah.
Okay. Ake sixoxe ngokuthi ke yini umgibela ngayenza okwamanje baba ukuthi mhlawumbe join iorganization yenu ukuze phela naye akwazi ukubamba iqhaza meni yaphambili niyobeka izimvu zeni ngoba anibizwa nina make discuss ama wages kodwa inini emphakathi kwalesi strike.
Impela siyokujabulela ukuthi abagibeli whether ungumgibeli westimela whether webus or wetaxi.
Yeah.
Ake nizihlanganise nathi ningasikhumbula mase kukubi uthi makuthulile bese nihlalela kude siyasibiza emhlanje abantu bangisi.
Yeah. All right.
Ukusho ukuthi bona bajwayele ukuthi makukubi kulabo ezokhuluma khona.
Yebo.
But ke ngiyacela ukuthi babekezele ngicela nabo driver baphatha ama commuters kahle kube nokubambisana.
Hayi siyabonga kakhulu baba ukuthi usijoine namhlanje studio. Sithemba ukuthi phela nabagibeli mhlawumbe kuzoba nezindaba ezimnandi abazozizwe ekhambeni kweinsuku. Hayi ke sibonge kakhulu ngaphambi kokuthi siye eTolo sizothanda ukubonga isivakashi sethu ngokuthi phela sesishiwa isikhathi kule nkulumo sibonge kuyena ke ubaba. Mase sibuye eTolo abadayisi nalabo abathenga ama cellphone aphuma kwamanye amazwe angekho emthethweni eNingizimu Afrika bazoba senkingeni. Mase sibuya sizokhuluma nabe ikhasa ngomkhankaso wabo ukulwa ngokudayiswa phela kwama cellphones ma counterfeit. For now I'd like to thank my studio guests for their time. Please join us after this ad break. Sikwamukele futhi mbukeli sisaqhubeka nohlelo lethu Yilungelo Lakho. Imported cordless phones are causing havoc with local networks, resulting in dropped calls and interference with our network. Now, Communications Authority, ICASA, is clamping down on both importers and users of these imported phones that do not comply with local standards, and owners of such phones are requested to hand them over to ICASA immediately. To tell us more, asamukele ubhuti uPhaseka Maleka, yena okhulumela ICASA. Bhuti siyakwamukela kwilungelo lakho and thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Nami.
Siyabonga bhuti Phaseka. Now let's talk about ama counterfeit phones. Iyini iphone counterfeit bhuti Phaseka? Uyibona kanjani leyo nto?
Amafoni angekho right angekho emthethweni lamafoni lawo uzothola ukuthi awana any ICASA sticker, they are not type approved. You know, it means kusho ukuthi ifone amafoni kuyisebenzisa, it has to be type approved and it must bear any ICASA sticker. And that ICASA sticker must be permanently affixed ngaphakathi kwefoni mawukhipha mhlambe masikhuluma ngefoni cellphone
mawukhipha. Ungakhona ukusibonisa mhlambe bhuti Phaseka, is there anything oyiphethe ene sticker se ICASA, because I'm sure nje ukuthi sticker umuntu angakhona ukuthi ayinamathisele lapha ngemuva.
La amafoni lawo ngimaphethe ama cordless phones. Ama cordless phones ilawa ayenza ukuthi kube ne interference eningi. And then because you know ama cell phones, the good thing about ama cell phone is that they are able to adjust kahle kwi network, but ama cordless phones they are configured differently kuma network. So abantu bayahamba baya kumo USA bayabuya bezala ekhaya, and then they buy these phones because they look similar to the ones that are available in the country, and then they want to use them here. And then mawafika la thola ukuthi they are configured differently, so ayenze interference kwi GSM band, the 900 and the 1800 megahertz band. So because lama countries thola ukuthi they're operating at a higher frequency as compared to here, so that's also thola ukuthi at the end of the day kuma nama dropped calls sometimes, and then kuba ne interference
enzeka kuma phones wethu,
enzeka kuma, because these phones are operating on the cell phone network. So that's why thola ukuthi kunenkinga enjalo. But kakhulu linking those ports of entries like Uboma Cape Town, Uboma Durban mostly, and then that's where it all started. So we've had a lot of complaints, especially from the Cape Peninsula, where our inspectors had to go out and assist one of the cell phone operators to make sure they take away all these phones that are available.
Afika kanjani lana bhuti Phaseka if illegal? leyo and isuke izi operate kanjani yona leyo phone ingazalwanga la?
Well, abantu bayathenga from outside and then mabafika bangena, nobody checks them sometimes, you know, they don't declare ukuthi ngithenga phone nje. I mean, it's a normal phone mawibhekile, so umuntu akana problem, and then uyangena ngayo only to find ukuthi it's going to cost some serious.
But baningi but baseka abantu abezana lama phone, people are going in and out of the country every day. Nizoyimonithara kanjani lento ukuthi umuntu obuye ne phone uyayiregister, or is that possible actually ukuthi ufike ne phone bese uyenza ibe compliant with the ICASA standards?
Yeah, what we are saying to our consumers, ukuthi if they have these phones, they must take them to the nearest ICASA office. Let us check those phones, and if this phone can be used in the country, this phone is right.
Are there ones that are actually legal that come from outside the country, or wonke lawa fika kumele aqala yo register ICASA?
It depends ngokuthi we thatha kuphi le phone, because we've got kunama regions. Uthina as South Africa, we're in region 1, so most of our networks are the same. The same people with the same region as us. So that's why it's important for people to the nearest ICASA office. Let us check if this phone can work. If it doesn't, if it's going to cause a serious interference, so and unfortunately, so we'll confiscate it.
Because what if because we know a lot of these small dealers, ibona futhi abantu abayingenisa zifika in bulk bese beyazithengisa. Nizoyimonithara kanjani, because I think that's where the problem starts.
Yeah, kwamanje as ICASA, what we're doing ukuthi we are not targeting mainly individuals. We are looking at those retailers, nama distributors mainly, and then nama suppliers of these phones, because they must make sure ukuthi umuntu mayeza ngephone, it must be tested. If as a test certificate lapha ICASA, what we'll do a type approval of that particular batch of phones, and then once that is done, then we give it a sticker to say this can be done, it's legal.
Oh, okay, all right. Manje umuntu uyibona kanjani if iphone yakhe is legal, because ushilo ukuthi kukhona sticker but umuntu angasinamathisela? Please show us some of these phones.
Yeah, some of these illegal phones are cordless phones.
Okay, ungasebenzisa endlini lawa.
Yeah, ulawa wasendlini. And then if you look at these phones, you can even see the name itself. It just tells you there's no company like this. But unfortunately, we cannot take them out because this is sealed.
Oh, it's a sealed phone. It's like evidence.
Yeah,
I see.
It has been confiscated
already. All right. So ngizokutshela mbukeli ukuthi ngibonana. Okay. Ngicela uqhubeke ke but Paseka, what am I seeing here? Ngiyayibona i-cordless phone normally used in homes as landline yamanje.
As landline, yes. And then this phone is operating on a mobile network in most cases. So that's why it's actually a problem. Yoguti enza akosama interference.
Okay.
So we are encouraging ama consumers abathengi bethu ukuthi please, when you go out and buy these phones, make sure that you buy the right phone, because at the end of the day you become the victim.
Yeah.
So you've paid money, and then this phone is it doesn't even have any warranty, any guarantee,
and you can't get a refund.
After a few months, the phone has SABC, for instance, particularly my cell phone, our SABC, you can't get a refund, so you have lost.
But what is ICASA mostly worried about? Is it the counterfeit phones, the number of phones coming in, or is it the impact on the network?
It's the impact on the network, because you've got licensed operators in the country, and then it means if you're using this phone and it interferes in the network, who is licensed, it's a serious problem.
Okay.
And then the other thing is that nama consumers themselves, I have a right as a consumer to make a call and take airtime. I can't make a call. I have a serious emergency. I can't make a call because somebody's sitting on this phone on the line and it's interfering. So I can't get any help that I need at that particular time. So it's infringing on my right as well as a consumer.
All right. Now, what should a consumer take into consideration before you take a phone as I told you thinking a counterfeit phone?
They must make sure when they go and purchase these phones, first of all, it must, especially those ones they must make sure they are tested, and then it has to be type approved as well. And then with my cell phones, make sure well, it depends on the company where you go to for testing. There's a lot of companies like SABC, they do the testing as well. So there's other companies that do the testing. So then make sure those phones are tested, and then they are type approved. And secondly, with my cell phones particularly, make sure that a cell phone, packaging, it has to bear an ICASA sticker, the packaging itself, before you even go inside and get the phone. So if the phone, it must have bear that ICASA sticker as well. So those are the things that you need to look into, consumer.
Okay, now Okwesibili ke ama repercussions alabantu abadayisa these illegal phones and using them. Sicela usitshela ukuthi inkinga lapho umuntu uzosithola ehlanganise ezibhekene nayo inkinga.
It's an offense in terms of the regulations to sell these phones that are not type approved. So it means we can take some legal steps against you,
such as
even criminal steps against you. You know, because this is not a right thing to do, because you're infringing on the rights of people that are licensed already.
Oh, okay. Laba badayisayo. Umthengi ke obengazi ukuthi counterfeit.
That's why I'm saying at the end of the day, umthengi yena we victim. So we're encouraging our consumers to say, please don't buy these phones as ngokho emthethweni.
So you wouldn't necessarily take steps, but because you wouldn't be able to prove if the person knew whether or not this phone was counterfeit.
Yeah, well, kumthengi, I mean, we don't do much kumthengi, because at the end of the day they are a victim. All we need to do is to encourage them to do the right thing and buy the right phones. Angaboni phone lapha ifana ne so-called iPhone. Yes. Because it's cheap. You know, at the end of the day, 3 months down the line, I SABC. You can't even repay it.
Do they recur for these phones? Because we now know the small dealers in most yabo, they don't need details of money, which is why people are have easy access to izinto.
Obviously, you recur SIM card. And the other thing is that ICASA is not the issue. The process here is outside of our jurisdiction. But within all we're concerned about is the product that is going out there, and our consumers are using it. Because at the end of the day, as ICASA, we've got a mandate in terms of the law to protect our consumers. So hence we are encouraging our consumers to do the right thing and buy our phone as emthethweni.
All right, and advantages and advantages consumers to actually check ukuthi into abayithengayo is the proper thing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and tell us about what can you do busuzithola ukuthi mhlawumbe ubonele program wabona ukuthi mhlawumbe ifone yakho ayikho grand, where can you go and complain and uthole usizo?
Call ICASA and then let's see what we can do, you know. And then we're also encouraging our consumers to also tell us, because we cannot be everywhere anytime. So tell us ukuthi there's this particular shop somewhere eating some phone are counterfeit, they're not type approved. Let's do our own investigation, because we are empowered in terms of the law to search and seize any electronic communication equipment that is illegal.
Okay, so umuntu akadingi ngisho uthi police station uza nje kumina straight azo report.
Asitshela ukuthi there's this shop kuphi or there's this warehouse where kunama phones. Let's go there and confiscate them, because at the end of the day nami ngifuna ukusebenzisa ifone yami ibe right. Ngingabi ne problem yama drop calls and all those. I want to do that. So it's all of us we gain at the end of the day. It's not about just one person.
Exactly. Siyabonga kakhulu Bhuti Paseka for joining us today. Thank you so much. Well, unfortunately Babugeli sesifike esiphelweni sohlelo lethu. I'd like to thank my guest Bhuti Paseka Maleka and my earlier guest for spending time with us in studio. Sibonge nani babukeli ngokuthi nibe nathi phela kuze kufike sona isikhathi. Please join us again next Friday for another live show when we'll be focusing on challenges around foster care grants. For repeats of our programs, please join us every Monday morning from 9:30 to 10:30. Khona la iMzansi for sure SABC 1. For myself, Alicia Ntombiakajali and the entire team, it's goodbye. Nibe nempela sonto emnandi. YilungeloLakho